good morning. And it is a good morning. Hello to everybody that is joining us. It is a good morning. I guess, Candace, yeah, great. I guess, I guess it's still high. It's still up there, but it's better than expected. We'll cut to the chase and we'll do the welcome later. But yeah, CPI numbers in the States, I guess a bit of maybe a bit of surprise, less than expected, which is, I guess, a good thing. It's a good thing for the market. If you've taken a look today, holy cow, to take a page out of, I think out of one of Candace's saying is holy banana bread, I guess would be what Candace would say. Yeah, definitely. But so that's a good thing. We'll talk about that in a little bit as it comes up in the chat. And I've got a few little news articles. And but we'll do our good mornings first and see who's all here. So obviously Candace is here. Welcome, Mountain Finance. Everybody, I think, that follows this channel probably follows her, but if you're not, head on over there after the live stream and check out some of her she's got some really good in-depth videos, so check those out. Good morning, Zach. Welcome. Zach with the tie, I like that. And good morning. Hopefully you've got your coffee, everybody. I'm gonna have a little sip. And there we go. Good call. I paid the CPI for an $1,100 trade. Good. It's fun. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin yesterday. So looking at it today, it's okay. But again, I'm not trading. I don't really trade it. I just buy it and sock it away. I buy it and then I transfer it off the exchange, like everybody I think should do with their crypto, as we're seeing with certain things that's been happening the last couple days for sure. MC, good morning, welcome back. Always great to have you again. Everybody, if you have any questions, comments, fire them in the chat. It's always great. The poll today is if you hit the like button, so make sure you do that, and then we'll keep going on. These streams are a lot of fun. Good morning, Nadia. Good morning. Hopefully you have your coffee ready. I have. It's always a nice morning when the market's green, so we can be happy today. We'll celebrate. I should have streamers or something in the background, but I don't know. It might be short. It might be short-lived. It's just a fake for us, but it's nice. It's nice to know that we've kind of stayed with our, you stay with your convictions and you stay with your plan, that it rewards you down the road in the long term. So, oh, there we go. So stake more sold this morning. Yeah, interesting on that one. I, as you know, Zach, I only have that little bit on Wealthsimple. I haven't done anything with it. It's obviously down big time now. It might be something to look at. Again, it really depends on what ecosystem, what token and stuff you're into. I'm more Bitcoin, kind of Bitcoin only for the most part. I don't have a lot of. I do have a little bit of Solana stake on outside of Wealthsimple. I've had for a while. I was just sitting there, but I don't pay too much attention to it. It's mostly Bitcoin for me. I do have some staking stuff just for more of the learning idea, but. And yeah, thanks for the like. Always appreciate the likes. And we've got a lot of people, all the regulars here. It's great. Stan, good morning, welcome. And so 2.5. Yeah, it's such a speculative asset that you definitely don't want to put. Not to turn this into a crypto show, but you don't want to put all of your. You don't want to have a large portion. I don't think, anyways. It's just me, but you don't want to have a large portion of your investment in that space. Just like anything, right? You don't want to put all your money into one stock. So why would you put all of your? Although some people have, and I guess you see some people that have done really well, but some no. Just be careful, I guess, and mostly Bitcoin. I think I find the easiest thing to understand. And I think has the probably, just in my opinion, the most kind of long-term value proposition for it is Bitcoin. And I just buy a little bit every day. But yesterday I did do a bit more because I was like, oh, this is too good to be true. It's funny. I DM'd a friend. I said yesterday, because yesterday was like doom and gloom out there everywhere, right? Markets, crypto, everything. And I said I DM'd my friend and I said, if if Bitcoin goes to $10,000, I'm selling everything and buying it. But as we see, it didn't happen. We'll see. And good morning, Haas. Good morning. I think it's your first time here, so welcome. Welcome to the channel. Good to have you. We've got lots of viewers today. It's great today. I guess we seem to get more people when it's a good day on the market. They seem to bring out the masses when it's a decent day. Yeah. So, oh yeah, because you did. That's right, Candace. I remember I think it was on your live stream. You mentioned you sold all your Bitcoin, but you used it. You're more of a trader than I am. So that's the thing. If you can think you can make a better, it's the same with stocks, obviously. If you think you can get a better return somewhere else, cut your losses. I don't know if you're at a loss or wherever you were with your Bitcoin, but cut it, and you might be able to make more later on. Yeah, and that's what happens. Like you see the days yesterday, and you're like, "Oh, what am I doing?" It's all going to zero, and then it turns around. I think you know what? It's such an early adopt. I'm like tongue twisted today. I need more coffee. It's such an in the early adoption phase of it. I think we're going to have these ups and downs for a while, and you just know that going into it. I find that's kind of as crazy as it sounds. I find this is what I find really interesting about it too, because it's such a new asset class, right? That we're seeing all these things happen that have happened before with other institutions, right? And there's just so much being built on it that I find that really interesting. But it will really depend on what happens in the future, who knows? But I do find that it's this part of it keeps me almost more engaged in it. But again, I don't have a ton. I don't have a ton of investment into it by any means, in the big picture of my portfolio. So you can handle those. You can kind of stomach those really volatile ups and downs, and what goes on. I do find it really interesting. So, but yeah, FTX. If people aren't really, if they're wondering what the heck FTX was, it was basically a crypto exchange. But they basically stole people's money and used it for other investments that didn't do quite very well. You can read into it online. There's lots of posts about it. Yeah, that's I think kind of the big thing with digital assets, kind of as a lesson learned, is if you are buying things, you probably want to keep them it's still really very unregulated. So you definitely want to keep it take it off exchanges when you can, so you have access and can do what you want with it, as opposed to being shut off, taking it out. There we go. Second time. Okay, I stand corrected. Thanks for coming back. And yeah. So you have zero. Oh, maybe I think Candace. I think maybe you can answer in the chat. But I think don't you have a little bit of the BTC.Y, if I'm not mistaken? Maybe you sold that too. I don't know. But no actual Bitcoin. And change to spare. Yeah. So I don't understand, and that's good, right? If you don't understand something, don't buy it. It's the same as it would be the same as, I guess, with it's like any investment. If you don't get it, if you don't understand what you're buying, if you're not sure of the stock, it's okay. You don't have, you're not missing out. You're not necessarily missing out if you don't understand it. You don't want to make mistakes or anything else. And if you don't get it, yeah, it's probably wise advice not to buy something very speculative. So I think a lot of people that do buy it don't fully understand it, but that's kind of the rabbit hole you go down with investments, right? Is if you see something that's interesting to you, or a company that's interesting to you, what they're doing and the technology behind it, or something that they're doing, that's where you kind of maybe jump in to some of these more speculative things, because you maybe think it's going to go somewhere in the future, and you have some interest in what they're actually trying to accomplish. It doesn't always work. I guess a perfect example would be like on my portfolio, CMC, Cielo waste solutions. Like what they're trying to do is amazing, but it's just not. A whole other story with that one. But they were, if they can actually pull it off, I think it's an amazing technology. So much like crypto, but there's so many difference, right? Like I don't really necessarily. There's so many different things being built on it that it's too confused. It is. I will admit when I first started researching it, Change to Spare, it was very confusing. It involved a lot of watching videos, reading like posts, reading online, lots of research on what's starting to get built and done. And it's a whole other it's a definitely a rabbit hole. But there's some neat things kind of happening with it, and I enjoy it just to kind of read about it and what's being built. I've always kind of been a bit of a techie kind of nerd, so that's why I like it. And Haas is the same. Yeah, if you don't understand it, don't buy it. It's like a lot of people don't buy individual stocks, right, Haas? I mean, if you don't quite understand and know what you're kind of maybe doing as much, that's why like ETFs are so popular, because it takes a lot of that having to figure out exactly individual stocks what you want to put your money in. So it's sometimes easier, and you understand it a bit more if it's ECS, and less. And I mean, there's obviously riskier categories of ETFs, but less risky at buying a pool of shares than usually just one, right? Yeah. And Candace does have BTC.Y. Yeah. I wish I bought more of that yesterday. It's down. I find it's interesting, that one. I don't know. It always lags actual Bitcoin, I've noticed. So I don't know if there's opportunity there somewhere, but I mean, I'm not a day trader, but it always does kind of lag. I find a little bit that thing, but I do like the dividends on that are pretty good, especially if you're going to hold it a long time. I think you just stomach the volatility of it and just let it ride, and as the dividends come in, reinvest it in the same thing, and just slowly dollar cost like everything, right? Slowly dollar cost average if you have the long-term conviction on it. Yeah. And Candace might know that. I'll let her answer that in the chat. I'm not sure. I don't follow. I watch his channel, but I don't know. I think Candace is obviously Candace is closer because she's been on the streams and stuff with that. I can speak for maybe the YouTube thing. Sometimes doing YouTube is hard, obviously. So I'm gonna guess. I know a lot of creators do get burnt out, and then other things happen, right? I can't speak for I can't speak for him, but sometimes life gets in the way of creating on a channel for whatever reason, and that's usually it's common. It's common across YouTube. People sometimes fall off for a little bit for whatever reason, but come back. Sometimes people just need a bit of time to figure out a direction of the channel. It could be a direction, it could be related to the channel direction, could be a whole bunch of things. And sometimes you just need a break. So I don't know, but maybe Candace can shed a bit of light if it's knowledge. I don't know, but hopefully he comes back. It's always nice to and there you go. So there's your answer. So that will do it. Moving will do it. I can speak for myself, having moved. It takes a while to get your, especially if you're used to doing a thing, you're used to doing your thing in a certain space, right? As a YouTuber, and then that whole schedule thing gets thrown out of whack. And especially if you have moved to a different location, you have to set everything up again. It's a lot of work. You might not have the right area, even depending where you're living, that kind of thing. It just it's difficult. So sometimes you just need a little bit of time to get that sorted out. So there we go. Hopefully he's doing well. Hopefully he comes back. He had a good channel there going, lots of subscribers. So I find though a lot of times, like I do have that getting on the YouTube tangent always, but getting on that, like my other channel that I do, I've taken breaks before, and people are there when you come back. It's okay. Yeah. The one, I may as well pull up some news, because the one that always jumped out to me, we've talked about this a little bit before. Let me pull it up. So we talk about I always have too many tabs open. There we go. We've always talked about, like, we've talked about on the stream before, like who, working from home, back to work, and this came out today. So Twitter is basically, Elon said, like, everybody back, although they've laid off half the employees. Well, I think brought some back, but it's amazing how Twitter's all over the news now that it's a private company. It just kind of does blow my mind, but it's interesting. So all the staff back in the office, at least 40 hours a week, back to work for them. No more remote working. And I'm kind of thinking on this is, I wonder if he is, like, a lot of these companies, are we going to see this trickle over, right, to this is obviously, Twitter being a tech company, probably easier to do remote work because you're, I'm going to assume, on a computer a lot of times. And I wonder if that's going to start trickling down to other companies. And I think it will. Like, I think more and more companies, especially in the like the economic climate we're in, I think more and more companies are going to be bringing people back to work to go. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. I mean, I don't know. I think some of the people that I know on the chat do work from home, right? But I think it'd be interesting to see who's starting to, if there's more and more people maybe being called back to work in the future. We will see how that changes things up. And so there we go. If Elon turns Twitter into a hybrid social media payment system, and he's mentioned that, right? Elon had a with the monetization for content creators. I'm interested in that, actually, Candace. You bring that up because he did mention what's the Twitter thing called? Spaces, I think it's called. Wherever they do the live talking, like it pops up where you can do live chat, like it's live kind of broadcast chat. And he did mention turning it into like kind of like an all-encompassing like payment app, but then he's also did mention monetization for creators. And for me personally, like, obviously this channel you're watching, I'm not monetized yet. It will be. I mean, eventually when it happens, which will be awesome. I do have another channel that is, but part of the reason I'm not on I'm not on Facebook. I have an Instagram because I do lots of photography. So I do have an Instagram, but I don't use it very often. And part of that reason is because it's not monetized the same. So it'll be interesting with Twitter, because I have a Twitter. I've been on Twitter for so long. I'm kind of more of a lurker on there right now, but I see some value there for creators for sure in pulling people in, especially if you can start to upload longer videos on there. And if you can start to monetize it, is the big thing. I think that will probably drive me there a little bit, maybe a little bit more for certain things. Whether I'd start a new account or not, I have no idea. Probably would just keep my same account because I've had it for so long. And it would be interesting to see how audiences and stuff find you on Twitter if you're posting different things. We'll have to see. It's very interesting. Might pull a bit of revenue and pull creators from I don't have TikTok, but from like TikTok and was it Snapchat? I don't have that either. I'm sounding old now. But interesting what he's kind of planning to do. And I just noticed today, actually, with Twitter, is in Canada now, you can sign up for the verified. That kind of popped up on my thing today. I haven't done it yet. $10 a month. I'm still debating. I might try it for a month just to see what happens. I think it's probably what a lot of people will do, but I do find that interesting. If it can weed out maybe less ads and that kind of stuff, we'll see. I haven't signed up for it, but if anybody has, definitely let me know. Because it's kind of just looks like it just came out in Canada. It's $9.99 in Canada. So much for $8. And that's awesome. I'm glad you like them. Yeah, it's hopefully nice to wake up to, I guess, to join in. It's nice to kind of chat. It's live streams are tough because it's never the perfect time for everybody. You can never please everybody in terms of when you can jump on. But I think it's kind of nice to get a start to the morning and just see how everybody's doing, get a feeling for what number one, I guess feeling for what everybody's doing, feeling on the market and investing, and just in general, it's nice. It's nice to touch base with that, because, we look at our portfolios and we sometimes worry, are we doing the right thing? And it's nice to hear from other people, different ideas and different thoughts, and, different struggles. And it just seems to be a bit, for me, it works well, because it's a bit of reassurance that we're all kind of, I think, hopefully on the right path with what we're trying to accomplish. We're not trying to, I try and keep the channel pretty level in terms of, like, not trying to pump anything up and telling people to buy silly things or whatever, but also hopefully maybe people can learn from my mistakes, and we can learn from each other in a in just a bit more relaxed way. I think is the best way to kind of describe the channel, for better or for worse. And I did have another article, and of course I always close these tabs. Where did it go? It was on with the market in general. It was it Amazon today? Yeah, Amazon today. I was just going to pull up the chart, basically the chart for today. Amazon's on fire today. So if anybody picked up Amazon last week, is doing okay today. Found that interesting. All the tech stuff is up like huge today after the CPI numbers. It's actually kind of crazy to see. Apple is up like almost 6%. Facebook is up almost 7%. Google 7%, so over 7%, and even Tesla is doing okay. I'm still down on my Tesla, and but we'll see. I'll be adding more of that. The CDR, obviously. And Abigail, welcome, Abigail. It's okay to be late. That's fine. Probably making coffee, hopefully. And I knew you had Amazon. Yeah. So that one's a decent one. I don't own any Amazon directly. Well, it's obviously going to be in the ETF, but nothing directly. Do you have the actual Amazon? Say actual Amazon. Is it CDR or is it Amazon? Kind of the same, but different. Some people are. I think it's. People always ask if you should get the CDR or not, and you get the Canadian hedge in there, so I find it just makes it easier purchase price to be able to start to build. And there you go. So Candace does not own CDRs. Yeah, I should really start. I should have before the dollar, but I should have started a U.S. account on Wealthsimple to get possibly some U.S. stocks going, but that's okay. Carry on with what I'm doing. I'm happy with that. The other, it's kind of like you can pull anybody. It's good because you can pretty much pull anything up today, and it's up, which are always the good days. So if anybody has anything they want to share with what they bought lately that they want to share with the channel, or what they're maybe looking at, let me know in the chat. We can always kind of pull something up, take a look, talk about it. If anybody has any thoughts. As we drink our morning coffee. I obviously didn't buy anything this morning, as I always share on the channel, but it's always hard to buy on these days that are such like crazy up. I probably won't. I'll probably just let things simmer for a bit and see if we can carry on, And MC, big green day. Yes, it is definitely. The year to date channel does still look bearish. Yeah. Definitely agree with that. We have a bit of exuberance today, and as we know from past, it seems like almost the past, close to a year now, that can change quite quickly the next day, or even in the afternoon. So it's just be smart out there. That's all I can say. Don't change. I'm not changing any of my I'm not jumping on anything that I'm still taking the slow and steady approach to things right now. It's not the time. It's not the time to go super bullish on it. I think on anything right now. I think we still have we're not through this yet. The states had the good CPI today, but they still haven't. It'll give them probably a little bit more room to possibly pause, but we're not there yet. We'll see what happens next in the future. I think we're still in for a few more months at least of ups and downs. And Change to Spare has a Tesla CDR. It's good for you. That's good. It's always nice. Then you're doing okay then. Well, obviously, I don't know how many. You obviously did well with your buys yesterday. That's good. Average them down, which is always nice. Yeah, and that's the thing. Still the recession to come as well. The big question is how bad. I guess it's I don't know. I don't like doing predictions or crystal balls, but I don't think. If we count it as it's so hard to figure out what the heck is going on, and I think if there's still room for pain in different places. I think there's still. The market has also leads everything, so we've had the big drawdown with the market and everything else, but we still haven't really felt the full impacts of all these rate hikes. Obviously CPI is coming down, which is typically a good thing, slowly coming down, but rates are still, the impact of those rate hikes that we've had in Canada are just starting to. They almost like they lag, right? So it's just starting to people are starting to feel that pain. We're seeing that, I guess, with you start to see that with the numbers come down, right? The CPI. So how the whole question is, did they raise? I don't think they rose. I don't think they increased too much to the Bank of Canada, but we're starting to feel that pain now. So that the whole thing with recession is because the rate, the effect of those rates are delayed. When it comes, how bad, how whatever, it's hard to predict these things. There you go. Right? And that makes sense. So the good news about a recession is that normally a bull market starts in the middle of a recession and slowly carries us out to better times. It's true. So the market really, and as I started paying more attention to the market through this channel, you really see how it can start. It really is forward. Like it really predicts what's going to happen, because we had those big drawdowns in June. So it's kind of like now it's starting to kind of hopefully maybe shift, but that doesn't mean we're necessarily going to have nowhere. We still have pain ahead, but it's interesting how it, like Candace mentions, like a bull market will start in the middle of it because it's ahead of everything else. So we'll see. The thing is seeing how bad of a recession it is. I don't know. You always hope it's not terrible, but all signs are pointing to not necessarily the greatest, but that will depend. That will really depend. I think interest rates are really going to start. I think people should really be not worried. Worried is the wrong word, but really pay attention to what you're spending your money on. And it's not a bad time to save if you can. And it was hard, but really look at discretionary. Discretion. I think I've been saying it for a long time, and even we had Rob on the channel a couple times. We've talked about that, and I think you really pinch pennies where you can, when you can, first for things. It will definitely help. Yeah, I think we I think we kind of have. I think you're right. I think you're kind of right there. We can see it with the market, but again, it doesn't. The broader, the broader, the broader macro doesn't see it yet. Maybe I don't know. Yeah. So they haven't. Yeah, because they haven't called an official. Have they? Have they called an official recession yet? I don't know. But I think we kind of are. But then you go, it's, for example, here, it was, hold on, speaking of discretionary spending, I can pull up, here, like Cineplex, obviously going to a movie is discretionary with stuff. They had obviously they were really impacted by COVID, but their revenue's up 30% from a year ago. So it's like people aren't paying attention. People aren't, if we're, I don't know, like it's really tough. Like people are living like it's not a recession or not, that's kind of where it looks like. But again, if you, I'd have to pull it up. So maybe someone knows in the channel, like what's the debt ratio in Canada? It's huge. So are people going out to movies because they can just put it on, have they just, I think maybe people have been so used to such cheap credit for so long, they start to, they're just living life as normal on credit, and all of a sudden, those rates don't catch up to you for a little bit. We're gonna feel that pain probably come the new year, I think. So pull up your first comment first, right? MC, thanks. So not officially counted as a recession. Yeah, it hasn't been 2 quarters yet. As people tend to use different definitions. That's the thing, right? 2 quarters of declining GDP. Some say it requires substantial and sustained unemployment also, which is not, and that's the thing. We haven't seen really the big layoffs, unemployment yet. Now we're starting to see it in a lot of the growth, like a lot of the tech thing, like Meta, Facebook. I mean, obviously this isn't just Canada, but there's obviously some Canadian layoffs with Meta. From what I read, they laid off 11,000 people. I mean, if we count Twitter, there was probably a lot of redundancy in Twitter, I'm going to assume, if they've laid off 50% of their workers. But yeah, so I don't know. But then you see, you walk down the street, and every service industry is trying to hire somebody. There's a help wanted sign on almost every small business. But again, is that paying? What are the wages, and what's going on with that? But I haven't. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the next. I think we're not necessarily through the worst of it, but I think we're definitely kind of at that hopefully peak of things, where hopefully things will start to kind of get better, at least in the market wise. But if the market's leading, then we still have some pain to come with some other things. But we must be officially getting close to calling a recession, you would think. But if it's not unemployment, then there you go. There's also lots of people leaving the workforce, right? I mean, that I know, like even through 20, like for the last, well, almost three years now, like 2020, a lot of people, when everything shut down, it's crazy thinking back to that time, but like I know a lot of older people that were close to retirement, or like a lot of people still are working past 65 anyways. But I know from talking to, like, my mom is older, and talking to some of her neighbors, and a lot of people decided just to retire, and I think maybe a lot of people are starting to do that. So there's obviously job vacancies from that, and just with the demographics, right? The baby boomer, like the baby boomers are all starting to really leave the workplace now. The tail end of them, right? So I don't know. I guess still lots of work out there if you're willing to work, to probably, relocate. Maybe there's always somewhere to work or start your own business, that kind of thing, which is tough. Yeah. The true bottom of the bottom recession is when the fear of loss makes the majority of people panic sell. So far, there isn't enough fear yet. Oh, that's interesting. Yesterday was pretty bad for, I think, for a lot of people, Justin. But that is a good point. I don't know. I think if we're not there yet, it's, I think, pretty close. I don't know. Let me know what your comments on that. That's a great kind of a great comment, because that's the whole. I mean, timing this is impossible, right? It's impossible to time markets, that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of people, I don't know. But yesterday was, I mean, obviously yesterday it was more so yesterday the market was terrible yesterday too, but in the crypto space, that definitely was, I think a lot of people felt the pain. But it's I think a lot of people that are in it though too, the ones that are in it for the interesting thing I read with Bitcoin is, I think I could be off a little bit with this number, but 70% of like Bitcoin hasn't moved in the past 12 months. So people are buying it and holding it. So if you're selling, what's interesting though too is, like today, I think it's today or yesterday, was like the 1 year anniversary of the all-time high. And now we're not at all-time lows, but lots of drawdown there, that's for sure. So it can be definitely fearful when you're looking at stuff, is when you pull it up. But that just kind of, I mean, I think of that as too, as you look at it and you go, if it's really causing you that much despair, you probably shouldn't have had that much money invested in something anyways. Just my opinion on that. And buying things, you should probably understand I mean, it's hard because no matter what you bought kind of this year, you're probably going to be down. If you're holding it long term, but it's hard. But yeah. So yeah, that's right. Maybe so it is around. I have to look at that chart. So we're not there yet. So MC is kind of saying that we're still not at the main pain. We'll have to see. I'm not changing any of my philosophy in investing or anything like that. I'll just kind of stick with the plan, and it's a long term. So it's, all this pain will be in the long term picture, is hopefully a blip in the map, and we take it as an opportunity right now, that if you're able to. That's the hard part, because it's obviously everything's more expensive, so you have less money at the end of the day to put into your TFSA. That's what's hard, because you want to, especially if you want to stick with a certain amount that your dollar cost average every time. You have maybe auto deposit going in, but as soon as groceries are more expensive, gas is more expensive, list goes on, you have less and less at the end of the month to be able to. So you have to kind of look at what your discretionary, your investing shouldn't be discretionary, but you have to look at what you can, you have to look at what your expenses are, and then you might not have as much to put into these things. And that's what we're seeing. That's why the prices are down, because people aren't flush with cash to be able to buy these speculative growth things, growth stocks and Bitcoin and everything else. That's why there's the draw. When people feel nervous or fearful, they hold back, right? So I'm going to skip your question, Jason, and I will go to that. But yeah, so good point. Yeah, it will be basically a week time. Like it's, if you look at, you'll go crazy looking at. I mean, I'm guilty of it, right? You go crazy looking at it every day. Not that you shouldn't pay attention, but definitely if you're a long-term investor, you almost have to kind of ignore the day-to-day, because again, what's it, FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's where you start to question things a lot more, when you really pay attention to the day-to-day. And if you're not really trading, there's not as much, you don't need to necessarily pay attention to the day-to-day as much as like the overall what the market's doing. So but it can be hard, right? Because it's so easy. You just pull up your phone and you go, oh, what am I, and then you're like, oh, crap, it's down 10% today. I better sell, right? And it's so easy to do it now. So that's what happens with, I think, a lot of people. And if you're, not there's anything wrong with selling, but if you're trying to time things, it just makes I'm not that smart of a trader, and I'm not a trader. So okay, good question. And we can ask this for the group as well, Jason, to leave a comment on, for those that are watching, what's the next Canadian stock that I might add to my portfolio? I've got a couple, and I have been looking at, I do want to add more Greenlane Renewables, but that's obviously more speculative. I have been looking at, I'll pull it up. And I have been looking at First National Financial Corp. That's a mortgage servicing company in Canada. I've been looking at them. The ticker is, where did it go? FN.T.O. Not financial advice, obviously, but I have been looking at that. Yeah. And I did just add Brookfield Asset Management on my portfolio, so I'll build to that. I probably won't add anything really right now, other than keeping to build up the ones I have, but I've had looked at that one. So MC bought Aritzia, and I have to look up when did I see it? CSU. What's CSU? Constellation Software Inc. I have never heard of that one. I don't know what they do. I've never heard of CSU, MC, but I've heard of Aritzia. I've heard of that. I have a friend whose wife bought Aritzia and has done quite well with Aritzia, but she won't sell it. I think she's propping up the stock with what she spends at Aritzia he says that's why the price is so high, because of all the packages he sees getting delivered from Aritzia. But that's been a good one, I think, for people, MC. Yeah, a good Canadian company. Yeah. And First National. It has a decent, I think they just raised their monthly dividend. I've had that one on my radar for probably over a year, Justin, and I haven't bought it yet, but yeah, they've always had decent dividends on that. And funny enough, I did mention it in a couple live streams a while ago too, and I haven't added this, but for like the super safest kind of like dividend stock that I've kind of discovered, and I think we mentioned that too, is Rogers Sugar. RS, I believe it's just RSI. No, RSI.TO. Yeah, Rogers Sugar. It's like everybody, I guess, needs sugar, and just like a boring dividend stock, but apparently, yeah, there was a sweet stock. Yeah, I think if you're looking for kind of decent returns and not really much volatility at all, just kind of plug money in and let it sit. Roger Sugar, yeah, like consistently. So I should probably have some of that to offset some of the other more risky stocks I have in my portfolio. We'll see. Oh, there we go. The free cash flow. I'm not sure who you're mentioning. It could be a number of stocks. Maybe First National. I'm not sure. I'd have to look more into it before buying it. But yeah, the sweet stock. I like that. Yeah. So there we go. It's this chat it always blows me away. Get to this point, almost at like 45 minutes in, start talking. It goes like so fast. But anyways, MC CSU is an acquirer of niche software. Oh, okay. They buy niche software for acquisitions. Okay. And they use cash flow to make future acquisitions. Interesting. CSU. Yeah, I've never heard it. That's the thing. There's literally like so many different companies, and that's part of the. I think that's part of the fun. Part of the fun is starting to invest in some of these things is you learn about different companies. You might not invest in them, but you start to learn. But then you start going down the rabbit hole of one. Like you'll start researching CSU, and you'll kind of find, like if you're looking at different places, like for example, if you're looking on Yahoo Finance or Google Finance and stuff, it will show you. It'll kind of suggest other companies that other people are kind of searching and following that are related to that industry as well. So you can kind of learn and see different companies and shares that you might want to look at and buy. Kind of interesting, because I've never heard of that one. And that was all. That was it. I mean, thanks for joining, everybody. That's awesome. We're kind of rolling almost. We got about 10 minutes left, and we always have a great stream. Lots of people on today. Lots of comments. I love it. And it's I guess it's the time we mentioned. Make sure everybody hit the like button for the stream. I definitely really appreciate it following along. Update on the channel, I guess, because we get to the end. If you have questions, comments, post them. But I'll just let you know in channel. We as always, we'll do the portfolio update by the end of the week. Tomorrow is Remembrance Day. The market is open. I guess the market is open in certain places. It's a statutory holiday for certain places, I think. But we'll do a live stream tomorrow. So we'll jump on to come on and see how we're doing. Maybe this bit of a rally will continue. That would always be nice for everybody. It's always good, especially to end the week on a good note. We'll have to see. And thanks. So it's for, I guess, as a channel update, 4K hours. We're almost. It's like I have another. I mean, I could look here. It's always a bit delayed with the statistics in YouTube, but if every subscriber of the channel, I have just over. No, they don't even need to watch an hour now. If everybody put on in the background that was subscribed overnight and watched it for like 1 hour, the channel, we'd blow past what I need to get subscribed. So we're almost there. I'm not too worried. It'll happen when it happens, and we'll just keep plugging away in the meantime. It's okay. But we'll do that. We'll do that. It'll happen when it happens, when it's meant to happen. So we'll see with that. And then so I will do an update. Those always people will hopefully enjoy that. We'll do that before. What I'll do is I'll do an update when the market is closed on Friday to kind of get that out. So it's nice to be able just to recap the week. If I'm not really doing much in terms of like more purchases right now. It's do the end of the week, kind of show how the week did in general for the portfolio, give my commentary, what's kind of happening, and just plug away that way. Some comment on Aritzia. Yeah, that's the big thing, right? They're pushing into the States, and they also are doing like they do a lot of online, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of online that are there. That would be interesting if it does, and that's what my friend's wife, that's what she's banking on. That's why she hasn't, because I was like, I found out what she bought it at, and when it hit that like all-time high, I'm like, tell her to sell it and just take the money and run. But no, she's sticking to her guns. So I think maybe she knows the market. She probably knows it better than I do in terms of where with what their market niche is. So yeah, if it was really hit and push in the States, I could see that. I could see that going quite crazy. If it is a Lululemon, she'll probably. I don't know how much. I don't know how much. I don't know how many shares she bought or anything like that, but I think she's done okay from when she bought it. Lululemon is based in Vancouver. Oh, I didn't know it had. I didn't know it didn't have a TSX. I did not know that. Yeah, they did really well. Whoever bought Lululemon. So maybe Aritzia is the next Lululemon. I don't know. We'll see. One of the ones that's Canadian clothing manufacturers that's not doing that great is Canada Goose. That's another Canadian garment, but definitely different than they're more kind of like what high end. I think they're probably impacted more by the Asian market, like China right now, than obviously than whereas like Aritzia's in the States, trying to hit the States. So there we go. That's our update for today. Thanks so much for everybody joining in. I really appreciate it. We're coming up to the hour, so we'll sign off. The market is doing good, so hopefully everybody's having a decent day. If you haven't checked your portfolio, go and check. It's nice to be kind of pleasantly surprised when you log in and you see some green in there, which is always nice to see. So hopefully, we're not out of it yet, I don't think, but we're maybe on that path, and going forward, we'll see how things turn out. So as always, really appreciate it. And yeah, everybody just enjoy the rest of the day. Relax, maybe do some research, and we'll fall back tomorrow. We'll maybe talk about if, like as Justin's asking, is what other maybe new Canadian stock is on everybody's mind tomorrow. So we'll see what maybe people have found over the next day or so. Maybe I'll maybe dig up one and see if we can maybe talk about one that somebody has maybe their minds on tomorrow. We'll go from there. So MC, thank you, everyone. Have a good one. We will see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock Pacific time. Thanks so much.